Lovely to host you every Wednesday of the month. Greetings, leaders from the African continent and across the world. Welcome to today's live session, yet another special one that we're hosting. My name is Maud Nale. I'm the communications lead here at Digital Earth Africa. And today's conversation is with a very, very special group of people. Today we're going to be talking about how universities are using the Digital Earth Africa platform. I'm so excited about this one. Equally excited to be introducing the experts who will be engaging with us as part of our roundtable discussion on this topic. So let's take an opportunity to introduce them one at a time onto the virtual stage. And we're going to start all the way in East Africa with a senior lecturer from the University of Rwanda, Dr. Elias Nyandwi. Dr. Elias, are you with us? Please, if you can turn on your video so that the audience can get to meet you. Nice to put a face to the name, Dr. Nyandwi. Please let us know a little bit about your department. Which department are you part of at the University of Rwanda? And what does your role entail as a senior lecturer within the department? Over to you.
Thank you very much. As you said, I'm Elias Nyandwi. I work for the University of Rwanda in the Center of GIS, Geographical Information System and Remote Sensing Training and Research Center, which was created more than 20 years ago. And in the mission of supporting university on research, education, research, and community outlook, wherever GIS and remote sensing is needed. And the core mission was to develop curricula through different departments and the schools of the university. And nowadays it's under University of Rwanda. It used to be in former National University of Rwanda, and we are currently based in Kigali, and we support more than, I said, in all 6 colleges. We have different programs, undergraduate and postgraduate professional trainings, wherever geoinformation is needed. 3 core missions of the university: teaching, research, and community outreach. Thank you.
Teaching, research, and community outreach is what it's all about at the University of Rwanda. We look forward to continuing this conversation with Dr. Nyandwi representing the university. Now we're going to stay in the east of Africa, since we're already on that side of the continent, and I'm going to be introducing the associate professor from the University of Makerere in Uganda, Professor Anthony Gidudu. So lovely to have you with us, Prof. Makerere University, which department and what does your role entail as associate professor at Makerere University? Over to you.
Yes, a very good afternoon, good morning to all of you guests who are here. As has been mentioned, Anthony Gidudu, and I'm from Makerere University. It's actually Makerere University. And I am in the Department of Geomatics and Land Management, where I am serving as an associate professor. And the course unit that I lecture here is land surveying and geomatics. So we're training the next generation of geospatial professionals. And of course, Earth observation is a key component of that. So the course unit I teach is mapping from satellite imagery plus everything else. Like all other academic institutions, our brief is research, teaching, outreach, but I also double as the Dean School of the Built Environment. So I also have administrative duties. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to you, grooming the next group of geospatial leaders, at least in East Africa and on the continent. Look forward to engaging with you further as we continue this conversation. And now we're going to stay in the East. We only have one rose among the thorns, as they would say. She is from the State University of Zanzibar. Assistant Lecturer, Ms. Khairiya Massoud. Lovely to have you with us all the way from Zanzibar. Which department are you a part of at the university, and what does your role entail as assistant lecturer? Over to you.
Yeah. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Khairiya Massoud. I'm assistant lecturer at the State University of Zanzibar, and currently I'm working in the Department of Computer Science and IT and at the School of Computing, Communication and Media. Actually, the State University of Zanzibar is the only public university in Zanzibar, and we have about 9 schools: School of Education, School of Agriculture, School of Health, School of Tourism, School of Kiswahili and Foreign Language. So you are all welcome to study Swahili in the State University of Zanzibar here. As a lecturer in the university, I'm teaching diploma courses because we have diplomas programs, and also I'm teaching degree, but I'm assisting master's courses in my department and also other department, I mean the Department of Natural and Social Science, but I'm also performing researches as a lecturer in the university. Apart from that, I'm participating in developing curriculum. I'm also supervising students' projects, I mean the degree students, and also I'm assisting master thesis. But also I'm a mentor of the club in my university, and actually I'm mentoring the SUSA Digital Africa Club. Yeah, thank you.
That's a lot of work for an assistant lecturer. Looking forward to engaging with you further as we continue this conversation all the way from the State University of Zanzibar. I must be honest, when I think of Zanzibar, I only think about the beach. Didn't know there was a university, but I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about the great work that you're doing in your part of the continent. At this point, we were in East Africa. Let's move south, all the way to South Africa, representing the University of Johannesburg, which is based in South Africa. Associate Professor Solomon Tesfamichael, I see you with us. Professor, nice to have you all the way from South Africa, my home country, by the way. Nice to have you with us. What does your role entail? Which is the department that you're part of? And as an associate professor, what does your role entail? It would be lovely if the audience could put a face to your name by turning on your video. Over to you, Professor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nale. I'm very sorry that I'm using my desktop, which doesn't have webcam. On my laptop, I failed to communicate. So I hope they know me from the picture. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, colleagues and everybody in Africa. I am Solomon, and I teach at the University of Johannesburg. Mainly, I teach GIS and remote sensing at different levels, from the undergrad to the postgrad level. I also supervise a number of students, again at different levels, from the undergraduate to the postgraduate levels. We also do a number of community engagement activities, because that's one of our portfolio. We also try to introduce GIS and remote sensing in different fields within the environmental management and geography, because at the moment we have only 2 dedicated, but we want to expand because we know now where GIS and remote sensing is going and how important they are in society. So we are trying to expand our footprint in different fields. Thank you very much.
Trying to increase their footprints in different fields, doing amazing work. I had the opportunity of visiting the University of Johannesburg and meeting Professor Solomon, and I can attest to the great work that they're doing on their part of the continent. And last but certainly not least, we were in East and South. Now we're going to move to the West of Africa, representing the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Associate Professor Amos Kabo-Bah. It is so lovely to have you with us all the way from Ghana. What does your role entail as Associate Professor, and your department specifically, what do they do within the university? Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much. I think when asked such a question is a very difficult one because we are playing several roles. But just briefly about the University of Energy and Natural Resources, for some of you, maybe you haven't heard about it. The University of Energy and Natural Resources is basically mandated to train the next manpower in our energy and natural resources. As you know, in Africa, this is where we are lacking. So we are trying our best to see how best we can help in this area. We have a number of schools, basically engineering, natural resources, agri-technology, graduate school, and we also have the geosciences also. Now, at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, what we are trying to do is to try to push the agenda, which I call big data, because big data is very important. Big data encompasses digital and data that we are coming to talk about, because we need to embrace whatever we do with technology and what have you. So at the university, I'm the Dean for International Relations. So I handle the international relations matters. But I also want to put forward in this particular forum that I'm also representing Ghana at the program board for the Group on Earth Observations, GEO, that take decisions on supporting initiatives such as the Digital Earth Africa. And currently, I'm the co-chair for the program board. So we want to see how best at least Digital Earth can reach to all the countries, ensuring that it's making the necessary impact that we need. Digital Earth to the village level, this is something we are looking out for. Then another thing which is very important, which I want to mention, is that I'm also playing the role of the co-chair for capacity development for land degradation neutrality flagship, which is also under GEO, because land degradation issues in Africa are very critical, and we need to think about, as professors or as lecturers in the university, we need to see how we supervise our students, we guide them in such a way that they are not the traditional researchers, but they are taking up the tools such as Digital Earth Africa in making the impact we need to support the African we want agenda. So let me end it here. As we go along, I think I'll have other things to say. Thank you very much.
I think as a starting point, I must say, I love your passion. You speak with so much passion in line with the University of Energy, and you said energy. I'm certainly loving your energy, Professor Kabo-Bah, as we continue our conversation. It's so lovely to have you joining us all the way from Ghana. Nice to have you with us. Leaders, as we get started with our conversation, now that we've all introduced ourselves, I think for the sake of our audience and everyone who's going to be watching this video, more or less, how many students are we looking at within your specific department? Anyone can go first. Professor Amos, maybe you can go first since you were on the camera last. How many students, more or less?
Thank you very much for putting me on the spot right again. Now, let me say that yes, I am with the University of Energy and Natural Resources. So there we have in engineering, we are talking about roughly the students that I'm engaged with. We are looking at numbers between 200 to 300 if you are looking at up to the postgraduate level. So all of these students, in one way or the other, are required to participate separately on the Digital Earth platform in trying to get additional certification. I think this is what is being done. But let me also emphasize that for me, something which is very important for us as professors is that we have to build a mentoring system. So you have some of my PhD students who are also in other institutions, so are also mentored to also replicate the same in the other institutions. And I can easily mention within Ghana, you have the University of Development Studies, we have Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We have some of my students who are using this platform. We have the whole Technical University, where I have some of my students. University of Ghana, I have some of my students, so they are all taking. Now, in addition to that, what I think is so important is that everywhere I lecture, whether it's about hydrology, whether it's about climate change, Digital F is part of the chain, because if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, these are things. So you can see that from North Africa, even though they are not represented, I don't have maybe a colleague from, you see that from the Pan-African Institute for Water and Energy, which is called PAWES in Nigeria, we also have students that are taking it. Now, as I said, talk about the mentoring system, we have a public university there called University of Clemson. So there are also sometimes we do more like seminars, and we have teams expand a bit. So the goal is that you just mentioned, am I in Ghana? In fact, currently I'm not in Ghana, I'm somewhere in China now. And we have several fora whereby Digital F Africa was also presented, because I think for us to make the change we need in Africa and build the tailor-made tools that we need for the necessary impact, I see that wherever we go, Digital F goes with us. I think this is the philosophy I have. Wherever I walk to, Digital F is part of me. I was just trying to show my laptop behind. I have all these stickers of Digital F Africa. So we have to speak about Africa, and we have to talk about the use of Digital F Africa as the digital transformation platform in supporting us address all the issues, whether it's about agri, health sector, and what have you. Thank you very much.
You're the perfect Digital Earth Africa ambassador. Thank you so much, Professor, for that commentary. I'm going to move over to the other professors. I'm going to call everyone professor. Forgive me if you're not a professor, but there's so many professors in the room. I might be also inspired to become one myself. Professor Solomon, how many students in your department at the University of Johannesburg?
Yes, yeah. So we have from second year up to master's. So if I'm looking at the taught courses, the courses we teach GIS and remote sensing from second year to master's, they are about 180 to 200. Then we have research students. These are students who use GIS and remote sensing extensively for research purpose. So this is now towards their thesis and dissertations. We have not less than 20 students, and the demand is increasing every year. For example, for next year, I will probably have 7 new master students. I don't know how many PhDs. So every day we receive requests to be enrolled in GIS and remote sensing. So the demand is increasing, the number of students is increasing, and the good thing is also is that the market is still in demand of experts in GIS and remote sensing. That's why we keep expanding it. Thank you.
I love how you said the numbers keep increasing, and maybe I can follow up with the question to you again, Professor Solomon. Are you finding at university that the uptake for students who want to do science is increasing, remaining the same, or is it a case where you start up with really high numbers and by the time you get to the end of the 4 years or 5 years, the numbers have dwindled?
If I look at science, because I belong in science faculty, in terms of postgraduate students, I don't think it's increasing. Science, hardcore science, I'm referring to physics, chemistry, and so on. But in geoinformatics, GIS and remote sensing, it's increasing, and the trend shows us it's increasing every year. So it's not decreasing, and certainly also it's not stabilizing at all. It's increasing. That's why we are even expanding our capacity in the department. Used to be only May, now we have increased. We are 2. One of my colleagues is already attending this session, and we hope to keep on increasing because we are introducing many courses, hopefully in consultations with Digital Earth Africa. We are thinking of adding new programs. That means we will need more academics because we are going to get more students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to see that there's growth, at least at the University of Johannesburg. Khairiya, at the State University of Zanzibar, is it the same? Are you experiencing a growth? Does it remain the same? And how many students, more or less, in your department at least?
Actually, in my department, we have 3 programs. We have diploma programs with the 2 programs, diploma IT and a diploma of computer science. And also we have a degree program. So we have a Bachelor of Computer Science, Bachelor of Information Technology and Application Management, but also we have a Bachelor of Information Technology and Accounting, but also we have master's degree in IT. That is those are the programs that are in my departments. But GIS and remote sensing are just the courses that are offering in only degree programs of the degree of computer science and also IT, information technology and application management. Unfortunately, we don't offer GIS and remote sensing courses to the diploma of computer science and IT, but we offer GIS and remote sensing in our school, I mean the School of Natural and Social Science. But then in our master's degree in Masters of IT, the students are having the courses of GIS and also remote sensing, and they are allowed to do their master's thesis in the GIS and remote sensing streams.
So it's great to see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, apart from my department, we also have a School of Natural Science and Social Science. Yeah, they offer the GIS courses, and also we have a School of Health. They have the Department of Environmental Health. They're studying GIS and remote sensing also. Yeah, and actually, in my department, I'm working, I'm teaching those GIS and remote sensing courses, but I'm also teaching in the other departments. Yeah, like natural resource, natural and social science, together with environmental health department. Yeah, thank you.
So it's great to see that there's a promotion of GIS and remote sensing, maybe not for diploma students, but certainly if you do a degree at the State University of Zanzibar, that could be a track that you could follow. Professor Gidudu, what about you in terms of the uptake, remote sensing, GIS, maybe at least within your department, and what are the size of students that we're talking about at Makerere University, your department?
Thank you very much. In this department, we run 2 master's programs, Masters in Land Management, which has a component of geoinformation, but we also have a cross-disciplinary Masters in Geoinformation Science and Technology. And each of those, we take it around 50-50, each intake. So you can imagine what numbers we are dealing with. We also have been conducting PhDs. We have a big cohort of PhD students. Undergrad, we're talking of about, our classes around 40 per year on average. So times 4, because we run a 4-year program. So that's around 160. But having said that, we also interface with other departments, which have a huge component of geospatial content, agriculture, forestry, vet studies, all over the university, computer information science, computer science and the like. So there's a critical mass of staff who are geospatial specialists, and that helps a lot in terms of coordinating the whole discipline. So yeah, we are able to source expertise from a huge diversity of professions. Thank you.
It's nice to see the growth also in your part or your university as well. Professor or Dr. Elias, and I'm calling everyone professors. I'm in the company of professors. Professor Kabo-Bah, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm definitely keen to know because I know you've been doing amazing things at your side. But Dr. Elias, what's the situation like at University of Rwanda in terms of your department, whether it's remote sensing, GIS, And what number of students are we talking about as of 2023?
If I may try to number, maybe I may start by clustering which kind of student do we have. We have in a formal education undergraduate student where they have principle of GIS and remote sensing and the basic applications from more than 5 or 10 departments. And yes, of course, we support in those geoinformation related course throughout 6 colleges, and I may say about 1,000 undergraduate students with principle of GIS and remote sensing. And we offer also short-time courses tailor-made to professionals from different public and NGO institutions in conservation, in water resource, in forestry. It's a tailor-made, and annually we can have a turnover of around 100 short courses, tailor-made courses. But in terms of GIS, remote sensing, Earth observation, advanced application, we are having more than 200 students in the geography department, which is now a spatial planning department. And we also have deep applications in a postgraduate in more than 10 MSc programs, where we can estimate also 200 students. But specifically, we have a program on geoinformation science for environment and sustainable development, where they apply advanced tools of Earth observations. And also we support in PhD research. Currently, we have around 10 students in PhD by research in the health sector, in natural resources, in agriculture engineering, which are they supported by our center in terms of GIS tools and the facilities, infrastructure and software, and supervision, of course. So terms of number, it's tricky to define, but in the core business of geoinformation, I may say the spatial planning department, the MSc in geoinformation science for environment and sustainable development, and PhDs, which have like 300 people in permanent consultation in their study, in their research, and community outreach activities with Earth observation aspect.
It's great to see the growth taking place at University of Rwanda, at least in this particular faculty. And thank you so much for sharing. Professor Amos, I know at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, there's this hype around this master's program. Do you want to share more about it, please?
Yes, can you hear me? Good. Yes, I have listened to colleagues, and I just also wanted to mention one or two things. Just as we are talking about GIS, remote sensing, and things like that, I think they are very important. And at our university, we have, from the engineering side, you have like my department, you have the civil and environmental engineering. So we have a master and PhD program in environmental engineering, and the students need to take that. And also at the School of Energy, another school, we have a master and PhD program also on sustainable energy management. Then we also have bachelor from the School of Geosciences, where they have the geoinformatics and land and sustain, all these other programs that are all running. But I think since I have colleagues who are here, and we are also talking about Digital Earth Africa, in our university, we launched a new program, which is called Master and PhD on Land Degradation Neutrality. And in that particular program, one of the things we realized was that in fact, all countries which are signatories to the UNCCD were supposed to have focal points that report about the SDG goal 15.3.1, which means that they needed to understand some kind of remote sensing and things like that. Now, our experience have shown that just as the application of remote sensing and GIS is important, it is important we start to build the foundation of our students with some computer program. So in this particular program, we have emphasized that every student needs to consider computer programming as a core component for understanding the remote sensing and the GIS. And I think I will be suggesting to all colleagues to also consider that as we go along, because the GIS tools and remote sensing tools are all changing, but the background coding behind this is important so that we can also, as Africa, develop our tailor-made solutions. In fact, in one way or the other, it appears to me that it seems now every course in our university will require some GIS and remote sensing, whether it's a social researcher or is a communicator. There need to be some kind of decision level support tools that need to be used, and GIS and remote sensing become critical, and some basic knowledge about computer programming are essential. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you, Prof, for that intervention. I love how someone in the chat box says, I am very glad to hear Professor Amos speak. I am from Ghana and happy he has great interest in spatial technology. I wish to make him my mentor. If you're here and you're watching this, and maybe one of these professors, you like what they're saying, or maybe they're in your university or you aspire to be in their university, you could also maybe just shoot your shot, ask them to be your mentor or whatever it is. Who knows? They might even say yes. That's why they're here after all. Don't quote me on that one. I know that all the leaders have interacted with the Digital Earth Africa program at some point or the other. So I'm not really going to ask that. But I think for the sake of our audience, we're very interested to hear your experience on how students have interacted with the Digital Earth Africa platform. So maybe we can switch up the order a little bit. Professor Solomon, maybe you can go first this time. The interaction with the Digital Earth Africa platform.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes. Digital Earth Africa, I was introduced to it last year in November or December. If you remember, we had a conference in Rwanda, African Association of Remote Sensing for the Environment. By the way, I serve as a Secretary General of the association. So I did not attend the conference, but one of my colleagues attended it, and he had an interaction with the Digital Earth Africa colleague, and he came to me and said, okay, how about starting to interact with them? Not only for me as a representative of University of Johannesburg, but also as a representative of African Association of Remote Sensing for the Environment. So that's how I learned with Digital Earth Africa. Then we interacted. You came to us, and graciously, thank you very much. So you visited us. You allocated that whole, almost the whole day, and you interacted with our students. It was a really very, very good interaction. Highly informative. We learned many things that we didn't know. So the take-home message from that meeting was that we needed to engage more. One, students should start working on that. We are working on that, but we are still new babies in the field. As the Professor Amos mentioned, is that we need that strong foundation from the beginning regarding computing, especially this command-driven analysis. It will solve a lot of our problems, especially for students, if they learn something what is being offered by Digital Earth Africa. One, in terms of analysis. Two, also in terms of platforms. The platform Digital Earth Africa provides is brilliant. You have a lot of computing space. You have a lot of data sources that that are already indexed in your database. So our students now, we are pushing them to embrace it. And at some point, I think maybe later we'll talk about what the future is regarding our interaction with Digital Earth Africa. But we want to make it something as core part of our curriculum. Thank you.
And that's so exciting to hear, Professor Solomon. Thank you so much for sharing about the somewhat future plans. I know you said you're a baby within the Digital Earth Africa space, and then we have the adults, the Professor Amoses of this world. So it's nice to bring everyone together. The adults can learn from the babies, and the babies can certainly suck from the adults too. So thank you so much for sharing. Khairiya, I know at the State University of Zanzibar, Digital Earth Africa introduced a program, or there was a partnership that recently took place. Would you like to tell the leaders a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yes, sure. Actually, I have learned about Digital Earth Africa through Dr. Kenneth Ubea. He was invited us, Susa, the virtual workshop, so as to introduce the Digital Earth Africa program, its innovation technical advantages, and specific, what they are doing specifically, and also the future development. And this invitation actually was about, it was about ARDC, African Regional Data Cube. They were in a transit form from ARDC to Digital Earth Africa, and that was the meeting about, and that's why I have learned about this Digital Earth Africa. And after that, it was 2020, and it was a COVID time. And actually, in academic year 2021, I say yes, because after that, I liked the platform. I had the training and also got my certificate. Then I said, yes, let me introduce this Digital Earth Africa platform to my students there. And I just embedded it into my GIS, Introduction to GIS courses. And there it was about two programs, computer science students and information technology and application management students. So they were happy to be engaged in this platform. Actually, for them, it was an opportunity because they got an opportunity to do self-learning there, and also they enjoyed the courses and they were happy to be in that courses. And actually, they were about 75 students. Yeah, and the 44 students was male, and 32 were female students. So the students who finished the courses and got their certificate was about 29 students. And this is because of the several challenges, because it was first time. And as you know, we have only 15 weeks for lectures, seminars, practical, quiz, test, assignment, and exam. So it was, for them, it was like a heavy stuff, but they really appreciate it. That's why they said, no, we have to continue with it. So me and my students together say that, no, let's form, let's establish a club, and let's call this club as a SUSA Digital Earth Africa Club, so as for those students who didn't get the opportunity to finish the course, the training, online training, they can do this in the club, and that's fine. So
it's nice.
Right now we have the club, which is called SUSA Digital, SUSA Digital Earth Africa Club. Yeah, thank you.
It's lovely to see or to witness how you started out as a student on the Digital Earth Africa program, and then you went on to introduce the program to your students, and the circle just continued. That was very, very nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Khairiya. And then I'm going to move over to Dr. Elias. Your experience, are the students at University of Rwanda using the Digital Earth Africa program? Where are they at on their journey?
as I can see, the move today, I may not say it's just a few years ago. Yeah, it's few years ago. I remember we co-organized the Africa GIS 2019, and during that big event under my university, of course, under the Center of GIS, we met Digital Earth Africa people. They had a stand. They have presented a lot of things where all of participant was getting much interested, and actually, Digital Earth Africa was one of sponsor of the event. So 2019, and from then we are getting a lot of weekly workshops, otherwise facilitated by one of our former staff member, Joseph Twishimire, since like 2 years ago. Every week, I always get some call from him, and yeah, and later on, we hosted again the Africa remote sensing and environment workshop, and our premise, and Digital S Africa was also playing a big role. Then, since then, we have a lot of weekly meetings, and also under a project of Earth observation for water and food security, where we participate in like 3 countries, and some of our students, some of our colleagues, we yeah, we have got a lot of interest in Sunday in a digital East Africa environment, where our students, where our researchers visit regularly, and where also we get some case studies for our regular teaching. So that's how I can summarize. Uh, it's already 4 years ago, yeah, but you can't imagine it's like more than 10 years, looking on how our community is already aware of Digital Earth Africa and using it in our 3 core missions: teaching, research, and community outreach.
Maud, you are muted.
Maud, you can't. We see you miming.
Maybe I will take over while we're waiting for Maud. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elias, for showing us your last history with Digital Africa. And now we are thinking about the way forward in the future. So how do we plan to extend our work with the Africa using the Africa platforms within universities? So let's start by Khairiya. How do you plan to still mainstream the Africa work within your university? Thank you, Khairiya.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Actually, as I said before, like we have a club, so here we have a club which is called the SUSA Digital Earth Africa Club, but that is not the end, because right now State University of Zanzibar is having a memorandum of understanding with the Digital Earth Africa. So through this memorandum of understanding, the students of SUSA, the State University of Zanzibar, got the opportunity to have industrial training under the Digital Earth Africa. So we have like 20 students are participating in these 8 weeks of the training. And these students are from 3 programs. From Bachelor of Computer Science, Bachelor of Information Technology and Application Management, but also we have the students from other schools, from the other department, which are Bachelor of Arts, and Art, Geography, and Environmental Studies. So in this industrial training, the students performing species analysis. Actually, they got the opportunity to use sandbox, working with use cases to perform their analysis. And apart from that, we have several benefits from this MOU. But as I said, we have this industrial training and Digital Earth Africa and the State University of Zanzibar. So we plan to have a last stakeholders meeting because we have started and we are in the last week of the industrial training. We are to have a stakeholders meeting in the maybe next week. We plan to have like next week, maybe in the middle of the week, to have a stakeholders meeting. So this, in this stakeholders meeting, we plan to invite head of departments from other universities where their department offer related courses to this final stakeholders meeting. So we hope that this invitation will help other university at least to see and to see can be benefited from this Digital Earth Africa. Hope we will have much contribution when we will invite them. Thank you.
Thanks, Prof. Khairiya. Maud, if you are back, leaders are telling us what the way forward, how they could include the Africa platforms within the existing academic context. Thank you. I'm just for teaching also part of the Africa. Thank you. Over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, leaders. Connection will sometimes fail us, but thank you so much to Joseph for picking up the pieces. I was able to make a plan B. We're interested to know your plans for the future. Before I got disconnected, I was asking Professor Gidudu because I had heard through my colleague Ken about the amazing work that Makerere University has done in incorporating the Digital Earth Africa program into the curriculum. So Professor, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to let the world know about that intervention. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Maud. For me, the attraction to Digital Earth stems from my past. It's a story I have told over and over again. When I was doing remote sensing as an undergrad, I never saw a satellite image. I never saw any software. So living in this world of plenty is very attractive. And I think it is something that Professor Amos mentioned. The attraction to Digital Earth for me is vested in the opportunity for additional skills that the students gain in cloud computing, which is where the world is going. And so for me, Digital Earth is the bridge from the present to the future. The other thing that makes a Digital Earth platform attractive are the case studies. And as other people have mentioned, very easy to follow. But most importantly, local examples. When we follow many of these lectures, they're giving us fancy examples of fancy places, which is also okay. But with Digital Earth, we have applications that students can identify with and think around that to build on their future projects. The other attraction is the certification that the students are able to have, and that is definitely a boost onto their CVs. And it's also an opportunity to partner, for students to partner on projects. For example, not too long ago, there was a project on youth mappers and Digital Earth. And because our students were well grounded in Digital Earth and they're active in youth mappers, they were able to make a presentation, be part of the activities. And I think one of the finalists is even here with us. So for me, these just, are opportunities for students to improve on their knowledge of remote sensing. And the other thing that I also try to do is to do peer teaching. So I encourage previous participants or users of Digital Earth to come and explain to the other people so that they don't think that, it's something a professor has to tell you. Your fellow students who have taught themselves are then spearheading this. So for me, it's a no-brainer having Digital Earth as part of my teaching material, and the students embrace it, they like it, it helps them also appreciate. If you only do remote sensing theoretically, it is a pie in the sky. But when you interface with the bands, with applications and the like, it makes geoinformation alive. Thank you very much.
So we're equally excited to do the same at University of Johannesburg. Professor Solomon, no pressure to you, but you've seen Makerere University, they've incorporated into the curriculum, and we're looking forward to do the same at the University of Johannesburg. Leaders, as we prepare to wrap up our conversation, we're still interested to know your plans for the future, and maybe whilst you let us know your plans, you could also do something like a call to action to other universities who will watch this and maybe haven't or still thinking about implementing or incorporating the Digital Earth Africa platform into their curriculum. Professor Gidudu, you sold the program, so I'm not going to give you another opportunity. Maybe Dr. Elias, at this point, you keen to tell us a bit about your projects and a call to action to other universities?
Currently, we are in a program review phase where we are reviewing our programs and following the national policy and guidelines, national and international. And nowadays, as I told you, the digital earth materials are playing a big role in our teaching, and they are beyond the basics and advanced. Now, the current plan is to have machine learning using Earth observation data. Those courses should be on different level, especially in spatial planning department and throughout most of postgraduate programs such as agriculture engineering, where the machine learning, artificial intelligence, in manipulating Earth observation, big data, it's now on our hot moment. As my colleague from Uganda said, we used to have to use hard copies, traditional tools in remote sensing and photogrammetry, but at today's stage and how the government willing having different unit and digitization. So our main program now is on machine learning and of course enhancing regional and international cooperation in this Earth observation and research from various universities and various level of education. I may say it's two core: machine learning and interaction with the region and the international community on digital earth.
So exciting times ahead for University of Rwanda. We'll definitely be following the updates and the progress with keen intent. Thank you so much, Dr. Elias, for sharing. Khairiya, Ms. Khairiya, any planned projects for the near future as we prepare to wrap up today's conversation? Ms. Khairiya?
Yeah, yes, actually, we plan to have to start with this industrial training because we have enough time, 8 weeks for the student to engage them to use Sandbox and working with the different spatial problems, and they have this Sandbox as an advanced technology to solve these spatial problem. But apart from that, we have this current status of mangroves project that we are working with. And apart from this, we are also working with, we are in progressive of developing geoinformatics curriculum. So we also expect, or plan to have this Digital Africa training to include in our geoinformatics curriculum as a course, because it is enough. Because during this course, the student got opportunity to access the ready process the data, and also they have opportunity to reuse the use cases that are available in the sandbox there.
Thank you so much for sharing. Also, exciting times ahead for the State University of Zanzibar. We'll definitely be following the updates that come through with keen intent. Professor Solomon, from my home country, South Africa, what are some of the plans for the University of Johannesburg? Professor?
Thank you, Maud. So we already had some successful like pilot project, let's call it a sideshow, because the big prize for us is the long-term collaboration with Digital Earth Africa. But you also helped us in some projects, especially with biomass forecasting for the Sahel region. This is a project funded by the European Union. So we are grateful for that help. And what we are now planning is that at least those students who are nearing completion of their research, we want them to use Sandbox and translate whatever they are doing in other software to make it as a Sandbox on your platform. The way forward, if I may quickly mention without taking much of your time, is we understand that the future is about big data and cloud computing. That's why we say that Digital Earth Africa is vital. I'm talking about not as a researcher at a university, but also my experience with the African Remote Sensing Association. Digital Earth Africa will be vital if we embrace it and support it. Because we need something like Digital Earth Africa, where we find every information in one place. We need one-stop shop or center like Digital Earth Africa. It doesn't help us if we fragment our sources. And also, the African Space Agency is nearing its now launch. I heard that they are busy processing, appointing the directors for the association. Now that association will start supplying data, and the best place to store that data, in my view, would be Digital Earth Africa. Otherwise, we can't get it from university, but that's it. So it will be only the university that uses it. So we need a continental center that like Digital Earth Africa, and then the whole continent will benefit from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Solomon. We're excited to be working with the University of Johannesburg in bringing your vision that you just spoke about to life. So we'll definitely keep our audiences updated on the developments as we continue on that journey. And last but certainly not least, our most passionate from the University of Energy, Professor Amos. What are the plans for the university going into the future or in the near future? Over to you.
Thank you very much. And I think the plan for the university is, like some of my colleagues have mentioned, is to collaborate nationally, because that is very important. We want that these students, when they come out, they are able to apply Digital Earth Africa properly. So right now, what we are trying to do is to join with what we call the National GEO. This is the national mechanism for coordinating all Earth observation issues within Ghana. And I'm happy to say that that is going on so well. So currently we have the University of Energy and Natural Resources that already have an MOU with Digital Earth Africa, sharing our experiences within other institutions that are in this national GEO, which is led by the Ghana Space Technology Institute. And this report is even being presented in Namibia now by one of my colleagues to showcase the importance, because these students, where are they going? These students are supposed to serve, in most of the cases, government institutions that are supposed to take decisions about whatever is happening spatially and temporally. So I think this is very important. So some of my colleagues have also mentioned the importance for us to think, because just as colleagues are mentioning that, yes, we are trying at our personal level to try to use some of the digital platform for upgrading our curriculum, but it's also important in this last message to mention that curriculum review is not an easy journey. So the way forward is for us to think about making Digital F Africa as an elective to our courses, because if you are not there, nobody's going to follow you. The passionate person might become very difficult. So we can make it as elective. That makes the review process and adoption very easy for us to move on. And the other thing is trying to link up with national institutions in Ghana. We did it one time, it worked so well for us, whereby our university and Digital F Africa and the Ghana Statistical Service decided to come together to look at the platform and the outputs from the platform. And we presented a workshop to our parliamentarians, and that sounded a very strong signal to our parliamentarians to say that Digital F was very important, because as the policymakers buy into it, it will force us in the research domain to also ensure that our curriculum is designed, is tailored to help us in the framework that we want to go. And to also mention that some of our students are also here and some other people are here, that the African Space Agency is almost ready and there are a lot of job opportunities. And of course, Digital F provides that additional skill that some of us didn't get when we were trying to do remote sensing. So it's been a wonderful time, and I hope that this will be a series of them that we need to go through to inspire our young ones that their future is brighter than our own, and for them to have those colorful jobs than our own, they should consider Digital F Africa as a way to give them those additional skills for the big market that is already there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. What a powerful closing to what has been such an amazing discussion. I knew that bringing the professors together, they would collectively bring the energy, and they certainly have. If you're from a university that has not yet implemented the Digital Earth Africa program or platform into the university, or don't know about it, please do reach out to us, and our capacity development team will start that conversation so that we can also get you experiencing the benefits of the Digital Earth. Because here at Digital Earth Africa, we say that we do not want to leave anyone behind. Thank you so much to our 5 professors who made this roundtable a success: to Dr. Elias Nyandwi from the University of Rwanda, Professor Anthony Gidudu from Makerere University in Uganda, Ms. Khairiya Massoud from the State University of Zanzibar, Professor Solomon Tesfamichael from the University of Johannesburg right here in South Africa, and last but certainly not least, Professor Amos Kabo-Bah from the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Ghana. We never want to leave these sessions without giving you an opportunity to connect with us. So on the screen, you're going to see all the ways that you can do so. You can connect with us on our website. It is www.digitalearthafrica.org. We're also accessible via learn.digitalearthafrica.org. We've got an array of online courses that you can take self-paced online, and they're also free. So visit that website, learn.digitalearthafrica.org. You can also send us an email if you want to engage on maybe having the Digital Earth Africa platform at your university, or if you have any related questions, that's info@digitalearthafrica.org. And we're also on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube by the same name, Digital Earth Africa. This has been an amazing roundtable. Thank you so much for your time. And most importantly, to the professors, all 5 of them. I know they're not all professors, but we're going to call them professors for the sake of today. Thank you so much for making today a success. This is a conversation that we need to continuously have. So professors, I hope you're open to us maybe doing this once a quarter, speaking on different topics, because it has been so robust. We actually even ran out of time, but I think this is something that we definitely need to have again in the very near future. I'm going to close off. so that we can take the group picture that we're known for taking, because we're very active on social media, and I know that you'll follow us on the platforms. But before I do, thank you so much for your time and your participation. We host these sessions every single Wednesday, alternating between English and French. Today it was in English. Next week it's going to be in French. So if you prefer French, votre langue préférée est français. If you prefer French, we will have a French live session next week, Wednesday at 11 a.m. GMT. We'll be so excited and we look forward to hosting you. Until we meet again, please take care and be safe. And depending on where you're joining us from across the continent and the world, have yourself a very good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. Thank you so much and take care.
Thank you very much.